Hey guys, Justin here with a pickups video, and I've actually been having quite a bit of luck lately at the thrift stores, specifically the Goodwill. You know, I just got over that month-long period of not finding a single thing at our local Goodwill, but like the last 3 or 4 times I went, it's just been bam, bam, bam. And you guys saw in our last video, I found that sealed new Super Mario Bros. U at the Goodwill, followed up the next day by those PlayStation and Xbox games that Ryan and I found. Well, I actually went back there the next day, and they had put out a few more games. Nothing great, it was just some cheap PS2 titles, but I did manage to find this. Is the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind for the original Xbox, and it is complete. Now this is the Platinum Hits non-Game of the Year edition. There was like 4 different releases for this game on the original Xbox, and I get them all confused all the time, but unfortunately I think this one's like the least valuable of the 4, but still, for the $3.99 I paid for it, I thought it was a pretty good deal. So anyway, the next morning I went back up to the Goodwill. Now this was right before my last final exam for my classes, so I'm done now. I have a month to relax and actually play some video games. But so I stopped in at the Goodwill before that, and I walked over to the electronics section, and I found this. Ugh. It's actually a box of NES stuff here. Now actually I'm going to have to put this box down so you guys can actually see what I'm showing here, but I almost walked right by this because normally when they have a system lot like this, they'll literally just take packing tape and everything that's included, they just tape to the top of the system. But I guess they figured that, you know, putting it in a box was a little more convenient, which it definitely is. So we got the system here. It's in pretty good shape. It's a little bit yellowed towards the front, but there's no cracks or chips in the shell or anything like that. And see, also included in here was a first-party coaxial. Unfortunately, it didn't have a first-party AC adapter. It just had this third-party one, which I really doubt will work in the system. It doesn't have the right specs, and it's got some exposed wire on it and everything. But also, we got 2 first-party controllers here. We got a gray zapper gun, a PlayStation AV cord, of all things, an NES Max controller, and then finally an NES Advantage controller. Now that whole bundle there was marked for $19.99, which is a little more than they usually charge for these systems, and I was really on the fence with that price. And on top of that, it had a note right next to the price tag on the box that said functional but needs internal cleaning. And yes, I said internal. It's spelled INTORNAL. Now, I don't know why they'd write this and put it on the box, because obviously if they didn't have any games that came with the bundle and they didn't put out any new games or anything, they obviously didn't have a game to test it with. So I don't know where or what possessed them to write, you know, functional but needs internal cleaning on it. But I figured, you know, for $19.99, I'd take a chance on it, and it actually worked out pretty well. I mean, the system actually works pretty nicely, so that worked out in my favor there for $19.99 for that lot. Now, I had that, and I looked down and I saw another box of stuff. This isn't the box that it came in or anything, but it's a Model 2 Sega Genesis bundle. So we got the system here, pretty nice shape. Also in the box was 1, 2, 3 first-party controllers, and both original adapters here. And luckily, this lot was only marked for $12.99. Yeah, I was glad to see it was priced less than the NES system. They're worth less than NES systems, but even at $12.99, I was kind of on the fence with that price for a Genesis system anyway. But you know, I had the extra controller. It was in pretty nice shape, so I figured, what the heck, I'll pick it up for $12.99. So I grabbed both those. I also picked up one of these Radica big screen freeze-cell games, and this was $2.99. And I don't know if it's just the Christmas season right now or what, but right now on eBay these are going pretty easily between $30 and $40 just for this, you know, loose system here, which blows my mind. I mean, it's free cell, right? Like, play it on your computer. But I guess people like the portability of it, and I mean, it's got a nice big screen, and it's got a backlight that comes on when you get in like dark areas and stuff. So it's a pretty, you know, high quality system, but still $30 to $40. I don't know why, but I wasn't going to turn it down for $2.99. So always pick these up, guys, if you see them, these Radica games, especially these big screen games. They have solitaire like this too. And then finally for that trip, I picked up this also for $2.99. Just one of these containers here. It's got 3 drawers that are fit like perfectly for Game Boy or Game Gear games. I needed an extra one of these because I recently filled up my other one that I had, as some of you might have saw in our room tour. So for $2.99, I picked that up as well. So that was a, I'd say, a pretty good trip to the Goodwill. So I went and took my final exam. After my exam, I drove down to the St. Vincent de Paul thrift store, which is right next to my campus, and noticed that for the second day in a row, they were closed at a time that they would normally be open. So I figured they were probably doing what they normally do around this time of year. They have like a big Christmas sale. They sell as much of their inventory as they can. Whatever's left, they pull off the shelves, they put it in their trucks, they ship it to other, St. Vinny's stores in the area, and they take in all new inventory. So they take in inventory from other stores and stuff they have in the back, and they basically have a whole new set of inventory. So later that day, I actually called them and I asked them when they were going to be reopening, and the lady told me they were going to be reopening Saturday morning at 10 a.m. So Ryan spent the night at my house Friday night. We got up at 9:45 on Saturday morning and drove over to the St. Vinny's and got there right at 10 o'clock when they were opening the doors. There was actually a line out the door of mostly older people, but it was just like a garage sale. It had like a line waiting for this thing to open. But so we walked in there, immediately walked over where they put the games, and literally the only video game that they had over there was a disc-only copy of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 for the PlayStation 1. Obviously, I wasn't going to pick that up, but we walked over to the electronics section and found some stuff. I got a PlayStation 2 Fat system here, and this came bundled with both the first-party adapters here. No controllers or anything, but that bundle was marked at $14.95, I believe. So I knew it was a good deal, even if the system didn't work. Like I said in our past videos, even a broken PS2 Fat system will sell for $30 all day long, plus shipping on eBay. So I knew either way it was a good deal. I took a chance on it, and actually the system works perfectly fine, come to find out. I have an extra controller I can pair with it, and in it was a copy of Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex for the PlayStation 2. So I guess that was a nice little bonus there. So $14.95 for that. They also had a couple N64 controllers back there. Got a yellow one here. Unfortunately, this one, the joystick is pretty much dead on. But the reason I wanted it was because it does have it's a third party, but it's a memory card in the back of it. And, the yellow controller is kind of hard to find, actually. So I figured, if I ever come across a gray controller or something common with a nice joystick, maybe the shell's a little beat up, I can switch it out for this and have a nice yellow controller. I think this was like $3.34 or something like that. So I also grabbed a red N64 controller. This one is $1 cheaper, maybe because it didn't have a memory card or something like that, but it was $2.34. And the joystick on this one it's used, but it's not nearly as bad as the yellow one. This one still works, so I was happy to pick that up. And then finally from the St. Vinny's, I grabbed one of these Pac-Man plug-and-plays. Actually a Miss Pac-Man plug-and-play. And I'm sure you guys have seen me pick these up before at garage sales and stuff. You can get them for like $1 or $2 most of the time. I think this was probably like $3.50 at the St. Vinny's, but especially now being the Christmas season, these are pretty easy 15 or 20 bucks on eBay. So why not, right? So not the greatest haul there, but it was definitely worth getting up and going, I'd say. I mean, last year I had a lot of luck when they did this last year. I think I still have the video uploaded on this channel, actually. It's called like Thrift Store Reopening and some other stuff in the title, but last year I got like a Castlevania Legacy of Darkness cartridge, a bunch of Atari 5200 cartridges, like a Super Advantage controller and stuff. So this wasn't nearly as good as that, but still definitely worth going. So anyway, later that day I had a buddy of mine stop by, and I had an extra Super Mario RPG cartridge, and I picked it up off eBay because it came with the manual. I needed the manual to complete my box copy that I recently got. I was just planning on flipping the cartridge, getting most of my money back, and getting the manual for $5 or whatever. But I had a local friend of mine who said he'd be interested in buying it from me, so he was just going to give me some cash for it. But when he came over, he brought a big box of stuff that he had for trade, actually. So we actually ended up working out just a straight trade. It was actually a pretty big trade. I gave him the Super Mario RPG cartridge and a complete NES system with a few games that he wanted, and I'll show you guys what he traded me for all that. We got some N64 games here. We got a Player's Choice Ocarina of Time cartridge. This one's pretty sun-faded and the label's a little beat up, but not a big deal. We got Player's Choice GoldenEye 007 and a copy of Yoshi's Story. Also for the N64, he gave me an extra expansion pack that he had. we got one NES game here, Kung Fu Heroes, which I already have, but I think I traded him a copy of like Ice Hockey for this or something like that. So I mean, I had 3 extra copies of Ice Hockey, and I didn't have any extra copies of this. So I figured, you know, why not trade a game that I have 3 copies of for one that I don't have any doubles of. Also, for the original Game Boy, I got Double Dragon 3, the arcade game, which is pretty cool. I've never even seen this game before, honestly. I have Double Dragon 1 for the Game Boy, but it's very cool to get this one. And then the rest of the stuff is Sega Genesis stuff, actually. He gave me a first-party controller. Got a loose cartridge Sonic and Knuckles here, with the flap still intact. And let's see, these first 3 games are just sports games, but I didn't have them, so I picked them up. We got NBA Live 97. This one's complete. I think these last 2 are missing manuals, but again, they're just cheap sports games. Hardball 95, and Frank Thomas Big Hurt Baseball. But these last 3 Genesis games are definitely the ones I'm most excited about. And, well, actually I probably spoke too soon. First one is Barbie Supermodel. I mean, it's complete. I didn't have it, so don't judge. But these next 2 are pretty cool. We got a Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. And complete inside of here. You know, a Sonic-related game for the system that I did not have yet, so very cool to get this one. But this last one here is definitely the one I'm most excited about, and that is Rocket Knight Adventures. Konami title, also complete inside of here. I've heard this is definitely a must-have for the Sega Genesis. I've never actually played it. I've seen gameplay of it. It definitely does look like a very, very cool game. And it's not a cheap game either. I think it's like, you know, $15 or $20 game complete anyway. So very, very cool to get this one. I was very happy with that trade. I think it was a pretty even deal for what he got and what I got. So anyway, I had to work the next morning. And like I always do, I stopped up at the Goodwill before I went into work. And once again, found some more stuff. They didn't have anything over in the electronics section where it normally is, or anything over in the games. But on the way out, I decided I'd walk by the glass case where I found that sealed New Super Mario Bros. U, and they actually had a couple Game Boy systems inside of the case. So I ended up picking up an original Game Boy here. Now, this was marked for $9.99. Which was kind of disappointing because normally every Game Boy this particular Goodwill gets, they'll put, you know, $4.99 on it, and they'll just put it over with the electronics with everything else. So I was kind of disappointed to see that they suddenly doubled the price and put it in the glass case. And I was really hesitant on it for $10 because, you know, I didn't know, these systems are so temperamental. I didn't want to take a chance on it and have it not work. But, you know, Goodwill's got they have a 3-day return policy for store credit, and on top of that, in the system was a copy of Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, and I mean it's got the battery cover here. The screen is, you know, falling off like they do with most Game Boys, but I should be able to glue it back down, and it should be a good working system. So for $9.99 for that little bundle there, I figured, you know, what the heck, I'll take a chance on it. But the better deal that I got was actually this. It came in this case here, and it was a bundle. It's actually a Game Boy Advance bundle. I got one of these original Game Boy Advance purple systems here, and it's in pretty good shape. There's a couple dings above the screen on the top, but not a huge deal. It does work fine. I did test it. But also in here was like a Mad Catz battery pack, a Mad Catz car charger, and a Mad Catz wall charger. And it came with 4 games. We got Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, Batman Vengeance, Rugrats Castle Capers, and this is actually a former Blockbuster rental Game Boy Advance game with a Blockbuster sticker on the back of it. And then the winner of the bunch was Super Mario Advance. And that whole Game Boy Advance bundle there was $14.99. Again, more than they normally charge, but it was definitely still a price I was willing to pay. So, once again, a very nice trip to the Goodwill. I'm going to go back tomorrow and see if they don't have, you know, any more stuff for me to buy. But anyway, I did get one more deal today. After I got off work, I checked Craigslist, and there was this really confusing post. It said the title of the post was like Super Nintendo and N64 lot. So I clicked on it. And the description said, you know, Super Nintendo, it had the adapters, 2 controllers, and a list of games. And it said they were asking $135 for it. I didn't see any N64 stuff anywhere in the listing, so I was kind of confused. $135 was way more than I was going to pay for the lot. It did have a Mario RPG with it. It had like a Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario World, and the system, but still, I mean, retail it was probably a $100 lot, so I wasn't gonna touch it at $135. But the title did say N64 stuff, and there was no N64 stuff in the description. So I sent the person an email. Ended up being some lady, and I just asked, do you have any N64 stuff? And she messaged me back and said, yeah, I've got a few things. She listed me what she had, and we made a deal for $40. And I quickly went and picked it up. She lived pretty close to me. So I'll show you guys what we got for the $40. We got a black N64 system here. Unfortunately, no expansion pack in this one, just a jumper pack, but the system's in decent shape. The reset button is not stuck, so it saves me 5 minutes of time there. It had a official AV cable with it. Unfortunately, though, she said she couldn't find the power adapter for it, which wasn't a huge deal. I think I have another one. And on top of that, the controller that came with it is actually a pretty nice condition jungle green controller with a almost brand new joystick. So I don't see why this controller wouldn't work 100%. So that kind of made up for the missing AC adapter. And then it came with 2 games here. The first one here is Mario Party 2. So I knew, with the system and this Mario Party 2 that was already, over $40 in value. So this last thing I got here was pretty much just the icing on the cake, and I'm very happy to get it. It's actually a factory sealed copy of Pokemon Puzzle League, obviously for the N64. And I mean, this is a game that I didn't even have the cartridge to. Dave has it. Actually tells me it's a pretty good game. This being factory sealed, I'm not going to open it to play the game. I'm going to leave it sealed, obviously. But if I want to play it, I'll just play his or whatever. But yeah, an unopened Pokemon Puzzle League, and it's not in perfect condition for being sealed. I mean, the box has got a little bit crushed up here in the corner, but the seal is still 100% intact. So this is pretty cool, actually. I mean, it's still got a Toys R Us price tag on it for $29.99 right on the front. I'm gonna have to try and get that off. Be very careful. I do not want to rip this seal here. So, like I said, this was just the icing on the cake here. I have a sealed Mission Impossible for the N64 too. This is my second sealed N64 game. Very, very cool to get this one though. But you guys know, like I said, I mentioned that she had a Mario RPG and some other Super Nintendo stuff. Which she kind of had overpriced, but I had to try and work my magic. You guys know me, I had to try. So after I purchased this from her, I said, do you still have those Super Nintendo games? I said I can't afford to buy the whole lot, but I'd love to take a look at some of the individual games if you're willing to let me look at them. And so she brought out the games to me, and like I said, she had a Mario RPG and some cheaper games, but I did manage to get the Mario RPG from her. And I mean, the main reason I wanted her to bring these games out is just because I wanted to make sure they weren't all like complete in box and I wasn't passing up some excellent deal or whatever. But they're just loose cartridge, but still, it's in pretty nice shape. It's got one tiny nick on the top of the label. You probably can't even see it. Overall, very nice shape there. And I also picked up a Mega Man X from her, which, I mean, she didn't even have this listed in the Craigslist deal, so I didn't even know she had this. But when she brought out both of these, I said, I'll give you an extra $40 for both of these games. And I mean, she knew what this one was worth. Even in the Craigslist ad, she said that this was valued at $40, which, it is. But she gave these both to me for $40, which I thought was a pretty good deal. I mean, this is another $20 game right here. So that was an extra bonus for that deal. So $80 for that entire Craigslist deal, I thought was a pretty nice deal, pretty spontaneous deal. It all happened in a matter of like an hour, but I'm pretty happy with that. Definitely pumped to get this. I'm going to put it in a box protector, get it up on my shelf here. But I think that is a good deal to conclude this pickup video. So I want to say thank you all for sticking around and checking out the video, and until next time, take it easy.